Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Friday. Yes sirree. Friday is here and you made it through another week, and boy, it was a busy week for me, I'll tell you, and that's what this video is going to be about. I did a couple road trips throughout the week and trying to get all the restorations. It was a little difficult. But last weekend my girlfriend had off and we went to antique well, kind of an antique mall. It's in Connecticut. It's called Mongers Market, and we have some footage of that. And then afterwards, I didn't pick up too much there, so we went to a different antique place that I knew of, which is right near Elephant's Trunk. Picked up a couple things there, and had to go upstate this week, and with the property, and so sit back, relax, and I have a restoration to throw in, so we got a bunch of things to cover. Let's get right to it. Okay, so this is Mongers Market. When you first walk in, you'll see that it's basically the first half of it. It's broken into two sections. The first half where we're in now is the industrial kind of area, and they have a lot of I guess the guy who owns this buys out a lot of industrial warehouses and old factories and things like that, and you could pick up all kinds of things. It's a little pricey because it's kind of meant for the yuppies in Manhattan or the interior decorators to come here, and you're not getting really too many bargains, but there's a bunch of stuff to see. Now let me tell you a little bit about this graphite here. This really had me going. This is the one thing I bought here. Now, I'm only going to interrupt real quick the tour of the Mongers Market just to talk about that graphite. That was the only thing I actually bought there, and let me show you a little bit about the graphite, why I find it so interesting. This is the only thing I purchased from Mongers Market, and what this is, it's a block of graphite. Now, you saw that whole barrel they had all different shapes and sizes. You can see some reference numbers here. I don't know if that was a size maybe before it was cut, maybe. I don't know what these were used for. Graphite is amazing because it's lightweight, it's strong, it's mostly solid carbon almost, and it has a lot of interesting properties to it. But if you could feel it, has such a cool feel to it. Anybody's, and also this is the main ingredient for pencil lead. You can see here, even though this is just a block of graphite, you could see it does, you could use it like it'll write just like a pencil, you see, and it doesn't smear, it doesn't smudge, So, but how interesting is this block, huh? And they had all different shapes and sizes, and I got to figure out, I knew right away I had to have one of these. They were $3 a piece, any size you wanted. I got to find some use for this. It's really interesting. Okay, now we're in the this is the second half of Mongers Market, and this is all, they have individual, dealers that they have a booth, or they rent some space, and then they sell their goods and whatnot. And again, it's a little pricey around here. You got to know you're definitely not cheap like a flea market, but you can pick up there's always things that you can pick up if you look real close. Now, for me, the highlight was meeting Old Tape 61, who's on Instagram. A lot of us follow him, and this is him. That's him with the hat right there. That's Barry, and he has this booth over there, and he's a collector of tape measures, and we'll talk more about Barry in future episodes. He's a great guy. Now, even though it's a little expensive here, my girlfriend got a really good deal. She collects Hummels and got these for $8.50 a piece. Well, that was Monger's Market. I enjoyed it. We had a good time, but the prices were a little bit high for some of the things that I was looking at. So we decided to go to this other antique store that I knew of near Elephant's Trunk, and I know the guy there. It's a real nice little place, and I always find something there. So let's go check it out and see what we found there. Now, here's something you don't see much of anymore, taxidermy. I remember when I was a kid, I took a course in taxidermy. Times sure have changed, hasn't it? But looking around, this guy, he goes to different houses. He's the only one bidding on these taxidermy things. And, you know, back then, years ago, people would even taxidermy their pets. That's right, their dogs, their cats. And if you think I'm kidding, take a look at this little guy in the corner. Dope! Okay, funny story about the second antique shop we went to. My girlfriend affectionately refers to the tools that I do as hunks of junk, especially before I do them, you know. And whenever she sees we're going to the flea market, she has a good eye, and she'll pick up a real rusty tool and she'll say, "Look at this hunk of junk," because she knows I get all excited about rusty tools, you know. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to that, because I'm sure you get that same look from your wives or girlfriends when you go and you're picking up a rusty tool and they're rolling their eyes like a slot machine thinking, what are we doing? What are you looking at? But we know what they can be, so that's why we do it. But so she found these two wrenches, actually, and I'll show you on Monday the other one. But let me show you this one is one of the ones she found, and she said, wow, look at this hunk of junk, thinking, you know, and tell me what you think. Okay, so this is the hunk of junk that she was talking about. And I have to tell you something. Now, look, take a good look at this wrench and look at the rust. Now, this would be, anybody would just take this wrench and say, oh, goodness, you know, oh, no, oh, you're kidding me. But let me tell you how we look at this as, you know, somebody that's been in restorations for a while and stuff. This wrench isn't bad at all. And this is where you can be kind of impressive to your significant other, because you look over here, first of all, this orangey kind of rust. Remember I was telling you about good and bad rust? This is bad rust. See this here? This is what we call unrestorable. Look at that, okay? This is unrestorable. So when you look at it, it's even flaking. This is something that when you find, you say, I'm sorry, there's nothing you could do. It's just too far gone, which it is. However, this here is beautiful. I mean, first of all, the jaws are nice. It still works. It's not frozen. and it's straight. I mean, it's a beautiful wrench. All right, so it's got a little bit of rust that actually works as a protectant. So what we're going to do is yeah, it's kind of rough, right? We're going to dump this in the vinegar, and we're going to leave it, and then just only because this orange stuff really works well with the vinegar. And let's do something over the top, kind of wild with this. Let's just have a good time with this wrench because we have so many, and I like to do stuff just as a challenge to ourselves. Okay, now this is a 24-hour soak in vinegar. That's all we did, and look at it. Look at this. Is this not beautiful? And that's what I was telling you. That orange rust that you saw, that's nothing but a surface rust. It's not like that pitted, you know, real bad rust that we deal with sometimes. So this wrench is in, and I knew it right from the get-go, but I wouldn't say that, you know, to my girlfriend. I'd just say, oh yeah, that looks pretty bad, but I might be able to fix it. Look at this now. Look how it's even smooth. You know, it works nice. It's a good wrench. We do have some issues here with the jaw a little bit. That's no problem. But after I took it out of vinegar, I soaked it in about 10 minutes in a baking soda and hot water solution to neutralize the acid. Now I'm going to take it over to the wire brush and just hit it with the wire brush real quick. Okay, here we have 10 minutes on the wire wheel, the new wire wheel. And look at that, huh? I mean, you would never guess it. You would never guess that this wrench looked like it did before. But here are the original forge marks that we're going to have to deal with. You see here, and especially here. Again, these wrenches, for those of you that haven't seen 50 of these on my channel, this is a 9-inch auto wrench, and a lot of times these were thrown in with auto kits and things like that. They were cheaply made. They were, you know, stamped out real quick. They weren't of any high quality tolerance-wise, and obviously they didn't take a lot of time to fit and finish, but that's what the wrench would look like, you know, when you got it new. Sometimes they would paint them black, depending on what you had, but a lot of times it was just bare metal like this, and that's why they rusted like they did. So we're going to sleep on it tonight, see what we're going to do for tomorrow. I'm super happy with the way this came out so far, but let's see what we're going to do. The one thing I don't like, you know, it's got a pin. It's got one of them peened-in pins, and it's frozen to this, so, you know, and there's not a lot of gap there to cut it. I got to see what I'm going to do. So we'll sleep on it. Now, real quickly, in order to get these little dents, you see these little dents here, that we're just going to, first of all, you could file them down, but the best way to do it is to put it on the anvil here and knock these down with a hammer real quick. Okay, we did a couple things off camera because, you know, this video, I don't want it to go too long. First of all, we fabricated a pin. We popped the pin out, you could see, and we've done this on many other videos, but did a nice pin here. So this way we could take it apart, cleaned all the inside out, threaded here for the pin. This is just done, basically this mostly was done with the angle. The 4-inch angle grinder with a sanding disc, so, and then polished it out on the belt sander and then the buffer. So it's ready now, and now we have to go to paint. So first we're going to scrub this with Comet, get it really nice and clean, and then we'll take it to paint, and we'll be back. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this hunk-a-junk looked like before we started? And we are calling this project done. And you can see here, did this in a candy yellow because we didn't do that for the clamps last time. So I wanted to get a little bit of candy yellow in there. Everything was polished out here. You can see the back and the front. And on the other side, we did it in the candy plum. And again, I got it with this light here so that you can see how dark it is and how it's just a lovely color. It's kind of a Mopar color. You remember that from years ago. Got a little bit of wax on here, but yeah, did the top, did the jaws over. You know, this has to be one of the the biggest transactions from before and after on this channel, right? I mean, considering what this wrench looked like before and how it looks now. So, which color do you like better? Do you like the candy yellow or the plum crazy? Let me know when you're looking to see. I had to put a little bit of a spacer in there because there was too much room in here, and I wanted this to be, and it runs smooth. I didn't even oil it yet, but it's still very smooth. And there we go. So this one is finished. So in closing, you know, I say this about all the auto wrenches I do. I think this might be one of my favorites, you know, especially since it's such a drastic before and after. I really enjoyed this project. I hope you did too, and I hope you have a nice weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care now. Bye-bye.